What up, guys? It is me, Jules, here on the gaming channel, here with a f***ing sick Scott Tailford. He literally is ill today.
Just extremely ill, but not too ill that I can't talk about major happenings in the gaming industry.
But before you talk about any news, mate, I know you're new to this, but let's hit that jingle.
Hot dang, there's news, give it all you got. I guess it's time for Jules and Scott.
I don't.
That's right, we just had a new jingle, ladies and gentlemen, and Scott
good.
has been knocked senseless from it. So,
Yep.
Scott, tell us what's going on today.
Well, you might have heard in this general gaming industry banter that Visceral Games have been shut down.
Yes, EA has closed the doors on one of their studios. I mean, they do have quite a lot of studios, though, don't they, under their wings? But
Yes.
Visceral Games is quite an important one to
Yeah,
close.
and Visceral are one of the only game studios that are like, well, not I'm not saying like a household name, but people know Dead Space. They know like,
Yeah.
I mean, like I just found out before that they did Future Cop LAPD on the PS1.
Which was a choice PS1 title.
And they did the old Godfather game and stuff as well. And it's just like, if EA are gonna close any one of their studios, this is the worst one that you could possibly have done.
Weren't they working on that sort of resurrected Star Wars 3113 game?
It wasn't. That's the thing. We didn't really know enough about whatever that project was.
No, but
other than
that was attached to them at one point.
yeah. So at some point, it looked like it sounded like it was maybe going to be the resurrected Star Wars 1313 because we had Amy Hennig on board who came across from Naughty Dog, and there was this assumption that it was going to be like an Uncharted style Star Wars game, and
Which would have been so good.
Yeah, but like
that is a license to print money.
Yes.
That's more license to print money than f***ing Porgs.
well. But let's not talk about Porgs, all right? I don't care who I am. I will defend Porgs. Less of that.
Go on then.
There's no need. But yeah, I mean, you talk about a license to print money. That is pretty much what EA want from this, which is why they've canned the studio and the game itself.
Right.
Sorry, they haven't canned the game. They talk about how they're wanting to change the direction that it was going in, and the way that they describe it, it just sounds like it's going to be an open world loot grind, microtransaction, DLC. You know,
We've
all
got
the stuff
enough
we hate.
of them.
So they talk about this is from a blog post on from EA's Patrick Soderlund. He says in its current form, whatever the hell this, because it didn't even have a name, this thing.
No.
The game was shaping up to be a story-based linear adventure, but throughout the process, they've been testing the game's concept with players, listening to feedback as to what they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. Now that's the thing that makes me go, it's going to have loot boxes, it's going to have DLC.
Jesus Christ, I feel like I need to sort of get a wet towel and wipe it off because that was a lot of corporate grease in that. That was horrible.
Yep.
That was disgusting.
And so they've said it's become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we need to pivot the design. Now, because they said they want something that people are going to come back to, that speaks directly to the whole idea that the industry has right now of creating a platform of content like what Destiny is, or Agents of Mayhem, or anything with a season pass and a DLC rollout and all that bollocks that we're beyond sick of, and that the industry keeps insisting is the way forward.
Is this why you're ill?
It might be.
You're
Maybe I'm
sick of it.
I'm just Will Smith and iRobot. I'm allergic to bullshit. I just can't deal.
What a reference.
For all the millennials.
So what other games did Visceral have a hand in making then? You got a little list there?
I do have a little list here.
Oh, isn't that convenient? It's almost like it was premeditated.
Well, for those of us 90s gamers that grew up, you know, following EA, but there was a time, right, before EA were known of being one of the worst companies in the world, there was a time when EA used their powers for good, and they put their money behind a lot of projects that a lot of people will now remember as being, you know, pretty awesome.
Okay.
Besides, like I said before about Future Cop, they did Agent Under Fire, and they did the original Lord of the Rings Return of the King tie-in, which that and the Two Towers were so solid.
They were basically like an entry point for anyone who wanted to get into Dynasty Warriors. Those two games.
And they did Everything or Nothing, which I voted as the best James Bond game of all time.
Oh, that was really good.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
So they did that. They did Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, which was a very underrated RPG, which I really, really enjoyed. They did The Godfather, which is badass. They did the Simpsons game. They did Dead Space, which was like a huge deal.
Okay, so Dead Space 1 was phenomenally fun.
As was 2.
Dead Space 2 was like the sort of action film to the first one's horror, and the third one I didn't really get on.
3 was complete. Well, 3 was complete toss because that was the one.
It was an above-average game. The two-player mode saved it. I enjoyed the two-player story.
Yeah, it was fun, but it wasn't Dead Space. Like that was them. Plus, back then, that was EA going like, "Hey, do you realize Gears of War is really big? Can you put like a cover shooter? Can you just make it another one of them?"
But
terrible.
The reason I bring up like which games that they've made is because, as just was proved, they were a studio with many hits, quite a good lineage. They've been going since the 90s. it seems very strange to can them unless they're going to do like they did with, was it Black Tusk, their other studio, where they just kind of absorbed it into the bigger picture?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing that EA tend to do, is they tend to, like, finance different things. I mean, EA funded Unravel, which is like that weird little tiny little indie thing, and they're just sort of like, well, we've got a nice idea. Oh, we'll bring you up. You can do this for a little bit.
Just
put a microtransaction model in it.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that means that they're going to be looking for new indie studios now to think, okay, cool, well, getting rid of this means we can fund 3 more decent ones.
And it's just like the list of developers that EA, or studios rather, that EA have killed over the years just continues to mount up.
How many is that so far now?
I don't have a specific number, but I mean, guys like Pandemic or like Bullfrog, like they themselves, like Pandemic, were responsible for the original Battlefront games.
Yeah, and they were
Bullfrog did like Theme Hospital. Like EA has strangled the life out of a lot of things over the years, and it's just a shame that this isn't going to go forward. The only final point with this is Amy Hennig, who came across from Naughty Dog. Her status on the project is still unknown. Like Polygon did a follow-up, and they just said that EA are in talks with Amy Hennig to see what her next move is.
Well, they better bloody well keep her, because she's an absolute gem.
She's a gem, but I wonder whether because she stuck by her guns and left Naughty Dog to come across, and I wonder whether if EA are like, hey, can you do like a massive multiplayer, do an EA game?
Yeah, and
I think she would be like,
no,
so
I can't do that. That's exactly what I wanted to come over and not do, effectively.
So I'm curious as to how this project even continues. I mean, it's been delayed indefinitely, which means we're not even getting it 2018. And yeah, so I mean, it's gonna miss its window.
That's a real shame.
But yeah, the last thing to talk about is, like, does this affect the viability of stories in video games? I personally don't think that it does, but it's more like,
it's a telling sign that the companies in charge, the almost oligopolies that you've got in the industry at the moment, are they're basically just saying, like, well, we're moving towards a homogenous state of just a, like you say, grindy, open worldy, looty boxy.
The thing with those games is, yes, they make money, but not a single one of them has landed and been culturally revered. Like, yes, like, people sink hundreds and hundreds of hours into Destiny, but have you ever met a positive Destiny fan? They hate what they're addicted to.
They basically come across and say, like, I tolerate this for some reason.
Yeah, it's like people with gambling addictions. It's like, oh yeah, I know that I pull the lever and I love seeing the thing spin around. I know I've got a problem. Like Destiny,
I can quit any time.
Yeah, I can quit any time. But like, Destiny hasn't worked. Agents of Mayhem didn't work. Star Wars Battlefront is already being pilfered by microtransactions.
Yeah.
Like, there are cases of this left, right, and center that don't add up. The loot model doesn't sustain.
No.
And as much as it makes money, like, it still is a short-term solution. People aren't grinding out gear for the long run. Shadow of War is pilfered by this stuff as well.
However, if you are a publisher like EA who relies a lot on yearly rotations, it's not an issue, because you just go, cool, I only have the short term in mind. I'm going to support this for 4 DLC packs, and then I'm going to off with all the money and do it again next year.
True. The thing that I'm just making a bold prediction. I think that this is pretty much because EA, obviously, when they acquired the Star Wars license, they were going to reboot Battlefront and all that kind of stuff. This makes me think that they've literally just looked at Destiny and gone like, well, that makes a lot of money. We have the biggest sci-fi property of all time. Let's make a Destiny. And they've got Anthem kind of being that. Like, Anthem is very much a loot grindy third-person shooter in a sci-fi context, but it ain't Star Wars.
I really hope that's good, though.
It's not going to be good. It's going to be complete toss.
I want it to be the Mass Effect Andromeda we didn't get.
I would love that, but it doesn't have anything close to a story focus. So,
but let's just say there might be some good stories on the horizon for certain EA Star Warsy related things there. We can't say.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like, I thought I should be in the. I thought you were going to bust something out.
No.
Just being optimistic.
We'll have some news for you guys tomorrow at 5:01 p.m. tomorrow BST time. There'll be something interesting on Star Wars.
Well, we're allowed to talk about things, which is tomorrow. We will let you guys know some very, very, very cool things.
But until then, I've been Jules.
And I've been Scott.
Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe below. And then head back to whatculture.com for more news and articles like this every goddamn day. F*** off.
Oh. Bye, though.